and welcome to Oberlo 101 Live. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Magda. Hello.
And we're here to answer all of your questions as you take the Oberlo 101 course. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we dive into your questions in the chat. First of all, if you want to watch this video later, or if you want to come back and review anything, you can just come to the very same link for the video that you are on now. So this video will automatically be saved and you can replay it. And then second of all, if as you're asking a question we don't get to it for some reason, do not worry. You can always ask our customer support or email us at hello@oberlo.com and we'll get right back to you with an answer. Anything else we need to go over before we dive in?
I hope you're ready to have some fun and learn a lot about dropshipping.
Yeah, especially now that we have Black Friday behind us. We're kind of looking towards the new year and we're setting some big goals for the stores we want to build.
Yeah, new year, new business goals.
That's right. Okay, so I want to start with a question that was dropped. Kin Central Shop dropped this into the chat before we even began, and Kin Central asked, what are some of the best apps that you guys recommend for a new store to invest in?
That's a really great question. I think with apps, you have to really consider what apps are necessary and what apps you do not need and are just going to be filling up your app section and filling up your monthly billing. So it's really important to take a look and only look at the ones that are really important for your business. So number one, I would suggest a language translation app. That way, if you're selling to multiple countries in the world, they'll be able to translate to their local language. That's extremely important, and most of the language apps are actually completely free and include up to 5 languages, so I would definitely suggest one of those. The next, you've got to have your email marketing. As we've talked about before and definitely discussed in the actual course, you need to be collecting emails.
Yeah, it's free marketing.
It's free marketing. And you can make so much money from email marketing because you build a relationship with your customers. So that's another app I would suggest. And one more that is really important is product reviews. I've read some crazy statistics that at least over 95% of customers always want to look for a product review before they consider purchasing an item. So it can really make or break your conversions.
Yeah, I was going to say the last one for me has been one of my favorites. If you go to the Shopify App Store and you search AliExpress review app, you can find a couple and they'll help you pull reviews for the product that you're selling on AliExpress and pull those reviews, and you can also filter which reviews you want on your website. So you can choose to only show positive reviews or reviews from customers from the US. One tip though is if you use that, still read the reviews because some of them, they might be kind of positive, kind of negative. Just it doesn't take a lot of work to double check them. Yep. You were talking about the budget, and a good thing about a lot of the apps is that most of them offer a free trial of at least a week. So you can try it out and decide, is this worth investing in, before you go ahead and make that decision to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and one more app that I would highly recommend is the abandoned cart app. These apps will allow you to set up an email sequence so that if a customer goes to your store, adds something to their cart and leaves, it can send up to 3 to 4 emails to remind them of their abandoned cart, and this can help tremendously. It's really important when you go through the App Store, just dive into the actual app page and read about it because they'll usually post about their success stories, how they've changed customers' conversion rates, and then you can actually see the differences they've made.
Yeah. We have a question from Mauricio Sanchez. Mauricio just opened his store and he invested in both influencers and Facebook ads, but the influencers just aren't making him any sales. So he would suggest, what should he do?
That is a really tough one. I think the thing is with influencers is it seems really simple. You just get an influencer on Instagram to promote your product and you get sales. That's it. But I don't think a lot of people take into account that there's a lot of different factors. How many followers do they have?
Yeah.
How did they actually promote the product? Did they just post it and say, #ad, you should buy this? Of course their followers are gonna know that they're just getting paid to show that product, so no one's gonna buy it. It's a lot different if an influencer, for example, is actually using a product. For example, I've seen a lot of influencers who promotes creams, and what they'll do is actually use the cream. They'll put it on their hand and they'll be like, oh, I love this cream, and actually use the product instead of, let's say, just posting a picture and being like, yep, you can get this at the store, which very clearly looks like they were just paid to post that. So if you're going to be using influencers, I would really take the time to look into their comments. How are people actually engaging with them? Do their followers look real? Do they seem real from like the way that they're talking to them? Do they just always do promotions? Is it in line with their actual audience? There's a lot of questions to consider. It's unfortunately not that easy as, well, I paid an Instagram influencer and it didn't work, so I guess it doesn't work, because that's not the case.
Yeah, a lot of people when they're starting out will start with Facebook ads just because it's so easy to scale, but you can still get good information from influencers. So I would say like reach out to a lot of influencers and just ask them for feedback on your store. And when they respond, give them a discount code for them personally to use. That's actually how I got a couple of my first sales on a store that I had a while ago. So I wasn't even using the influencers. I was simply contacting them and saying, I love your content. You might have some good insights on a leggings store. I just opened one, and they would browse. And if they said, hey, I love it, then I'd say, thanks so much for your input. Here's a discount code. And I got a sale. So in the beginning, when you're just after those first few sales, be patient and also be willing to just explore a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
A good question from Saqib Amin. How do dropshippers cope with the Chinese New Year? And maybe I'll start by saying if you're new to dropshipping, which you probably are because you're taking Oberlo 101, the Chinese New Year takes place it'll start January 25th in 2020, and it usually lasts a few weeks. During this time, a lot of Chinese suppliers will completely be off of work.
Vacation mode.
Yeah, total vacation mode. And sometimes they start a little early, sometimes they go a little late. It's really supplier dependent. So some dropshippers, if they're caught unaware, will try to fulfill orders, and those orders will be massively delayed. The thoughts I have are this: depending on where you are in your dropshipping journey, if you haven't even opened your store yet, then don't worry about that. Like, this would be actually a perfect time to build the store, to do product research, to do all the stuff you're going to do before you even start selling. If you have opened your store, consider scaling back on ads perhaps, and just making sure your product descriptions are right, go deep into your data, use those few weeks to reassess. If you're getting lots of sales, I would say go ahead and communicate early with your supplier. Ask them, hey, when will you be available to fulfill orders? Will you not? So that you can plan ahead of time. Would you add anything to that?
Definitely. A lot of the suppliers, they have multiple warehouse locations, and sometimes they have warehouse locations in the United States. And those warehouse locations in the United States are not taking off the holidays, so they actually can still fulfill orders. So it's really important to get in touch with your supplier ahead of time, because I have seen instances in the past where suppliers will definitely still be able to fulfill orders, but from a warehouse not in China, and so ones that are not celebrating the holidays. So that's what I would add.
Tip, yeah. I see a lot of people are joining us, so if you're just joining us,
welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Mind my manners there. Welcome, and if you have questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll take a look, and if we don't get to your question, you can always email hello@oberlo.com, and we've got a whole team ready to help you out. And you can access this whole video after the fact and review any of our answers. Let's see, questions.
Yep, and also just so you know, we have had a few videos in the past, so if you're looking to 10x your dropshipping knowledge, go ahead and go to our previous videos as well, because you can never know too much.
That's
and you
true.
might know a few of the answers, but there's always something new to learn. So it doesn't hurt to go back through those videos.
Yeah, lots of product recommendations in those videos. And actually, there's a kind of an interesting product recommendation question. Raphael says he plans to start a new e-commerce store to target vegans, but he can't find products to sell that aren't food. Now, I like this idea because vegans are a passionate, targetable audience. So I really like the idea of a vegan niche store. Maybe we can kind of live brainstorm here. I know we're not looking at AliExpress or the numbers necessarily, but I think that when you think about what vegans are cooking, they're usually cooking a lot of produce. So anything to keep produce fresh, like even in Green Kitchen Goods, we have those bags for carrying produce. That could be a good thing where you're targeting vegans. You're saying keep your greens fresh for longer. any kind of food storage. There's a lot of beans or grains they might have at home. So stackable storage systems to help them keep those fresh and dry.
Yep.
What thoughts come to mind?
I think those are awesome ideas. I used to work and manage a vegan restaurant for a few years. So
take the reins here.
So I can definitely speak on this. And one thing I know is that vegans are extremely passionate, and they are always excited to share and find other vegans. So while I would definitely suggest anything related to produce, I would also suggest getting into some apparel, getting into, for example, custom socks that maybe share that someone is vegan, or has a funny slogan related to avocados. I can't tell you how many funny avocado slogan t-shirts I saw in my days working in that restaurant. And it's just something to get the conversation started, and it's just something to share their culture and lifestyle. So I definitely agree with you, those sorts of products in the kitchen, but otherwise I think going with apparel is a great idea, and I think it's a really good audience to take advantage of because they are passionate and they do want to purchase products that will help them share or explore that part of their lifestyle, for sure.
That's a great advice. We just had someone ask, they just joined, Redsish just joined, and wants to know how they can find dropshipping warehouses in the US. So actually there's a video on YouTube that we just published called like best products to sell with US shipping. And all of those products are products that come from US warehouses. And in that video, we also show you how you can filter on AliExpress to see US warehouses in your results. And actually a really hot tip too, say you're selling to Spanish people in Spain. You can also, if you set your shipping destination in AliExpress to Spain, so you're looking for products that ship to Spain, then when you search a product and you see the filters, you can actually filter for warehouses in Spain. So you can get local Spain to Spanish customers results. That doesn't work for all countries, but for France, Spain, Italy, and other countries, it's just worth trying if you want to broaden your search internationally.
Yeah, AliExpress has so many search options, so really take the time to go through them because you might have not even realized that there's actually someone who ships from a US warehouse and you've just been ordering it from abroad all this time. So definitely take the time to go through it.
Awesome. We also have a question. Louis is saying, he has a big question actually. A lot of the products we recommend are full of bad reviews, he says. How can he be sure those products are trustworthy? So two comments here. We do try to look for products that have good reviews, but you'll notice that when you go to AliExpress, you're typically going to see more than one supplier for the same product. Some of those suppliers might be shipping the same product late or in poor condition, and they might get bad reviews. So when you're looking at reviews, it's hard to tell unless you're reading the reviews. Is the review of the supplier or is the review of the product itself? But the bottom line is, this is one of the biggest reasons we say always buy a test product for yourself. Find out how long it takes to get to you, examine the product. I've been surprised, for example, those H2O water bottles, they sell like hotcakes, and when we ordered a test product, I could see why, because it was very thick and durable, and it seemed like a high quality product. Other products I've gotten and I've been like, okay, this is flimsy.
Yeah, I will say that's interesting to hear just because we work together at Oberlo. And I can tell you guys more than once that I have sent Jessica an idea for a product recommendation and she said, the reviews on this aren't great. And I was like, you're right about that. So I went back to the drawing board. So I would actually be really interested to hear, and we're always trying to make this channel more helpful to actual dropshippers. So if you could link or maybe drop a comment with the link of the products, we would love to look into it because we're here to help you succeed. So if you have had any issues with products, drop a comment. We read all the comments, and you could also send us an email. So I apologize about that, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what it might be because we look for products. We have a variety of methods that we use, but ultimately, it looks better for us when our dropshippers succeed. So I can assure you that our intent is always, okay, we're looking for products that is going to make our dropshippers money.
Shelly asks, any insights, advice, or comments on Pinterest? You know, we don't talk a lot about other social media channels in Oberlo 101, and that's something that we do want to explore a little bit in the new year. For Pinterest in particular, I would say think beyond your product and think about your audience's lifestyle. So, for example, for green kitchen goods, if we were to do some Pinterest content, yeah, we could have like, top reusable straws or things like that. But I think that what would be more creative is to do blog posts that are like 10 super healthy one bowl dinners or something like that. You might really get a wide audience, and they're interested in cooking and food, they're interested in health, and maybe they're also interested in sustainability, but you're getting just tons of click and tons of traffic to your store. So that would be one advice if you want to use Pinterest for free to try to get traffic.
Yeah. Absolutely. Pinterest is an amazing place to bring in sales. It's not something that we talk about as often because in the dropshipping community, Facebook ads and Instagram influencers are the two most popular advertising avenues. However, you have a huge opportunity to use Pinterest or a lot of other social media platforms. Pinterest is amazing because if you make a pin and pin something, it stays there forever. With a Facebook ad, for example, if I'm running a Facebook ad and then the event ends, then it's no longer up. Whereas with Pinterest, it actually stays forever. And a fellow dropshipper friend of mine, she used Pinterest and she actually brought in her first few sales that way and found it to be extremely effective. And I remember she was like, I can't believe people don't suggest using Pinterest. She's like, it was really easy and I got really high quality customer information from there. So don't ever be afraid to explore it because you might be the first person and that means you have an untapped market over there.
Definitely. Saqib asks, he says he started a jewelry niche. It's been a few weeks. He received a lot of attention from 65 plus. And Saqib, I'm going to assume you mean people who are over 65 years old. But he hasn't made a single sale. Should he exclude them from his targeting of his Facebook ads? Are they even used to buying online? So this is an interesting question to kind of workshop. What do you have kind of initial thoughts on this?
I think that's a really interesting question. I can see how you'd think, oh, well, they're taking up all my attention, but they're not actually going to be buying online. However, from everything that we've learned from interviewing dropshippers and just helping other dropshippers, you want to work with what is working. So if everyone's 65 plus, if everyone who is interested in your ad is over 65, you actually might only want to target to them, to be quite honest. And then you might want to break it down a little bit even more. Maybe you should change your language to speak to them in a way that's more appropriate. Or maybe you should change your creative or other parts of your copy. At this point, I would definitely suggest trying to see if you can reach out to some of them. Maybe hold a giveaway and just start asking questions. Because if they're showing you interest, that's for a reason. People don't just accidentally click on links. So I would definitely suggest working with that information rather than against it and making any assumptions. Because assumptions, every time I've made assumptions in dropshipping, it's always proven to be wrong. And I think many people can say that too.
Yeah, it's interesting also if you're getting lots of interest from people over 65 but no sales, that tells me that your Facebook ad is probably working or something is drawing them in, which is great. So you want to look more closely at your product page and your price. One way to do that, if you yourself aren't over 65 and maybe you find it tough to speak this audience's language, is to think of brands that do talk to this audience. So for example, maybe a women's clothing store that kind of targets older women. You might have to search around for that, but you'll be able to find it. If you're clever enough to start a dropshipping store, you can find that.
Yep.
And then see what words do they use. Do they describe things as hip, or maybe they use a word like elegant? Do they seem to be focused on good value for the money, or are they talking about trendy? And make sure you're taking that learning and putting it back in your product description. And that should help you speak to that audience a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's just a really great tactic to use in general. A lot of times, if you just have to sit and write all your own product descriptions, it can be really difficult. But there's so much inspiration you can take out there. Of course, we don't suggest ever copying anything, but if you read multiple, let's say, product descriptions that are catered towards women over 65, you'll probably get a general idea of what you need to write. And those companies, especially the successful ones, are paying someone a lot of money to do that, and it's working for them. So take that as a learning opportunity and be like, okay, I need to structure it like this.
Yeah. Some quick things. So Carrie asks about how to find dropshippers on AliExpress with US warehouses. We went over that in it's like best products to sell from US warehouses on our YouTube channel. So you can just go to that video and it'll explain the whole process.
And we also suggest products that you should sell.
Yeah,
that
that's
also
the whole
have
point of
US
the
shipping.
video.
Yeah. So if you're just like, I want to sell something that has US shipping, great. We've got some product recommendations for you in there.
And if you find it hard to identify that, just let us know and we can create another video to really go through that process. Also Scott asked a good question. Is Green Kitchen Goods still operating? Everything was sold out, but the site looks good. In fact, we decided not to keep operating Green Kitchen Goods because if we did, then the site would change, because to operate a store really means to constantly be changing it, because you're always learning and you're optimizing it. But if we kept changing it, then the videos that we filmed where we said, look, now we have this banner, it would all be different, but you'd be missing the videos that told you why they're different. So, one thing we could consider in the future is just doing kind of a live store build where maybe we tune in every week and we're just building the store together and you can follow those decisions. So if that sounds cool, let us know and we can consider it. But that's why we kind of froze Green Kitchen Goods in time so that anyone who took the course won't be confused when they go to Green Kitchen Goods and it doesn't look anything like it. So yeah, it has a lot of potential though. Like there are sales to be made in sustainable kitchen accessories. So don't let our store and the fact that it's frozen hold you back.
Yeah, to be honest, as soon as we decided that it would be better to keep this as a standalone frozen model for the course and so that people could learn more, that's when it really started to pick up. So we really, we sacrificed Green Kitchen Goods, but I think it's for the best because you're able to see it exactly as it was in the course.
Yeah. Marco says, do you guys review your student stores? So we don't do that here just because technologically with the screen and us, it wouldn't really work out. However, if you take the course, if you finish the course, we do have a team of customer care, like gurus, people who have actually built a lot of stores and helped people succeed, that are just now starting to reach out to folks and offer some one-on-one store review advice. So finish the course, watch all the lessons, do your homework, have the foundations, and if you want that help, then email hello@oberlo.com and say, hey, I finished the course, and they can check to make sure that you have and then work with you. So, yeah.
And that's a really good idea. Even if you maybe aren't looking for suggestions, it doesn't hurt, because sometimes if you're building a store, and I think anyone who has started a business can definitely agree with this. As you're going through it, you might focus on small details, you might focus on things that you think are important, and you might skip other things. And it's always helpful to have an objective opinion. Go through it, just review it. Even if it's really light things, like let's say, for example, oh, these colors kind of confuse me. That can make a huge impact on customers. So even having that opinion is really helpful.
Yeah. Anna May has a really good question. She said, we just made our test orders and they let the suppliers know they were drop shippers, but the packages still came with the sender's information on the package. And Anna says, this kind of removes some credibility from their store. So a point of clarification, I'm assuming you followed the template and you not just said we're drop shippers, but you said please don't include any promotional materials, which would be good. Now, when your customer receives this package, it's normal that they will probably see like information about the sender on top of the package. So the send label might say China. That you really can't control when you're starting out drop shipping. We're telling you from experience, customers don't tend to care so much. If they rip open that package and they get a good product that they thought they were ordering, they're going to be fine with that. What you can control is whether inside the package there are slips being like, buy from us again, go to aliexpress.com. That you don't want. So that's kind of the expectation to manage there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is something that might happen sometimes with suppliers. And that's why we really suggest ordering test products, because you can see if the supplier is actually going to be willing to work with you. And when you write please do not add any additional advertisements inside if they're going to listen to you or not. And if they don't, that's okay. You've tested it, you now know that, you can move on to another supplier. That's actually one of the most amazing things about AliExpress is that there are suppliers carry so many of the same products that you can actually be a little bit picky. And you're the one that has the power in this situation to be like, okay, that's cool if you want to do that. I'm not going to give you my business because you making a sale would also make them a sale. And you can take your business to another supplier and test it again. But that's why it's extremely important to try that and test them, because unfortunately, you just don't know. And assuming trust can sometimes burn you. So
yeah, but also it's okay. It's not the
Yeah.
end of the world if you think a supplier is good and then they send a package to your customer and there are materials inside. It's okay.
Yep.
This kind of stuff, you can't control every part of your business, but you can still grow a great business when you're generally doing your best to stay on top of all those details.
Yeah. And one other, I think I mentioned this in one other example or maybe another Q&A, but I always think back to when I, for example, ordered bike handlebars from Amazon. I ordered them from Amazon and I thought, okay, perfect, just getting these handlebars for my bike. They're gonna be here in a few days. It took 1.5 weeks. I was like, okay, no big deal. I'm really excited for these handlebars. They are awesome. And then it turns out that they were actually coming with e-packet from a Chinese supplier. And then later I found them on AliExpress. And it was crazy because when I got them in the mail, I didn't even notice because I was so excited to get these handlebars that I just ripped them up and I just threw out the package. I would really consider, or have yourselves consider, how often when you get a package are you like, let me inspect this package.
Yeah.
Let me just see, I want to see every detail of this package. You're usually so excited that you just rip it open, like who cares where it goes. So I would definitely not worry too much about it and just focus on the product quality, because if the product quality is good, the package is totally irrelevant. And I think honestly, if there were advertisements inside, those too.
Yeah. We've got about 5 more minutes together. Just want to let you know, we have talked about Chinese New Year, we've talked about US shipping, and we've talked about Instagram influencers. And if you missed any of that, you can just stay on this same link that you clicked, because that link will automatically revert to a saved recording of this whole conversation. And you'll be able to see the chat as well and click on any links. Tori asked this great question. She's struggling to actually pick products that catch her eye that everyone else hasn't already done. Any further tips? What I want to say is you can make millions of dollars selling products that everyone else is selling. I think this is a common misconception. Everyone is looking for the next big thing, the hidden product. But remember, once you get into the dropshipping world, you're seeing a lot of products that your customers aren't seeing, because you're actually, in our course we say search for ads for this product. So say you find, I don't know, what's a good example? A dog costume. We always talk about dog costume.
Yeah, dog costume.
Say we have like a dog costume. You think it's really cute. You're interested in selling it, and you search it on Facebook, and you see 10 Facebook ads, and you think, oh my God, everyone's already doing this. Wrong. You're a dropshipper. You're researching this, you're in this world, you're looking for those ads, you're seeing all these extra examples. Your customer is not searching for dog costumes. They're looking for healthy one-pot dinners, they're looking at pictures of their kids, whatever. And then they come across your cute dog costume ad. And that's probably the only dog costume ad they'll see that day. And so that's something you have to remember. Don't be so hung up on, is this a product no one else is selling? Just think, is this a product that's getting some sales? Could I sell it? And get your feet wet that way.
I completely agree. That is something, when I first started dropshipping, I was under the same assumption that I needed to have some sort of product that no one in the whole world had ever seen before to actually succeed. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. Actually, it's amazing to sell products that you see because you know they're working. You know that there's something about them that other customers like, and that allows you to validate them a little bit and be like, okay, perfect. If someone else is selling that, their customers love it, I can find customers that love it too. And there's always holes or spaces in the market. So be really creative. In one of our videos with Mordecai, the CEO of Ecom Hunt, he gives an amazing example where he was drop shipping a charcoal mask Well, he wanted to, but he saw it everywhere. He was like, this is so dead in the ground. It's so saturated. And if we would have ever even suggested that, our comments would be full of people saying, this product is so saturated, you can never sell it. Well, he went through it, looked at the shipping, and realized he could sell it to Canada and that it hadn't really been tapped into there. Yeah. And then once he sold it there, he really succeeded and found a lot of success with it because he already knew it was a winning product. He validated it through his competitors. So I would definitely suggest trying to change your mindset about that and remembering that how you think dropshipping should work isn't actually how dropshipping works. It's its own individual thing. Just like, for example, you might not like a product, well, that doesn't mean customers won't like it. So try your best to be objective and not actually just think what you would prefer or what you would want to do.
That's great. Yeah, that's just good to keep in mind. Maybe we'll call this the last question. I think it's a good one. So Jason Chu said he just started his first store. Congratulations.
Congrats.
He's running Facebook ads. A lot of people are adding his products to their cart and reaching checkout, but no sales so far. Advice. I mean, from what you described, it sounds like everything is going perfectly. Remember, only 2% of traffic converts in mature, successful stores on average, which means that hugely successful dropshipping stores see 98 people visit the store for every 2 sales they make. So just keep that in mind. If you're getting tons of add to carts and they go all the way to purchase, then probably you're doing something very right, and you just need to kind of let the law of averages start working for you. If you're not sure why they're not clicking that final purchase button, go through the whole process yourself. Set up your own discount, just make it private that only you would know. Go ahead and fully buy something, even have it shipped to you. You know, whatever. Spend the $5 on your AliExpress product. To make sure you have a full picture of, did anything get goofy on you? And if it is, reach out to customer support because we've got people who can help you fix those things.
Yeah, they can definitely jump in and also help you troubleshoot it. I would definitely keep that in mind, the 2% averages, and also make sure that you're sending abandoned cart recovery emails because those will be able to really, you'll be able to get a lot of sales without really that much effort because you were already so close. If that person is interested in a product, it is so much easier to communicate with them and try to convince them to complete their purchase rather than with cold traffic. So don't look at it as a loss. It's a success because people are interested in your products. That's hugely successful. You're finding traffic. They're adding it to cart and they're just before reaching checkout. So there's a lot of things to celebrate. And now it's just time to fine tune it. Oh, and one last thing. Make sure to check your shipping settings because you might be charging shipping and that might be turning people away too. And that's why it's really important, as Jessica suggested, go through the whole process step by step all the way to the end. And then you'll actually be able to see it through a customer's perspective and maybe you'll be able to see something you didn't before. Yeah, that's great advice. You know, so often we're talking about product selection and marketing and these kind of sexy topics, but sometimes the customer's decision to buy is based on something you didn't see, like the fact that they have to select their shipping zone and they don't like that and so they bounce off. And those are those details that can really change your business if you take the time, make a cup of tea, dive into Shopify settings, tell yourself you can figure this out. You can definitely figure this out. You've got support to do that. You can do it. You're smart. Untease the problem, figure it out, and then get your sales. Yep, exactly. All right, guys, this has been an awesome conversation. We're gonna close out for now. Just wanna thank you for your time and for being an Overload 101 student. Yeah, thank you guys so much. And remember, the learning does not stop. So you taking the time to invest this time into your business, it's gonna pay off later. It's gonna pay off. A lot of people right now, they might be having fun, doing whatever, and you're investing this time in your business. So just stick with it. It's definitely gonna be worth it, and your hard work is definitely gonna pay off. Totally. The 100 of you that are tuned in have an advantage that a lot of the other students don't even have. So good job, and we'll see you in the new year for the next Q&A. Have a great New Year, guys. See ya. Bye.